Hi, good morning. Welcome to Talking Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. This morning we are talking oil. Yes, it's been 10 years since Ghana started production of oil thanks to the Tullow operated Jubilee Field. And I guess you're wondering what's the trigger for this conversation this morning. Well, a report from the Public Interest and Accountability Committee saying that Ghana has bagged $6.5 billion over the last 10 years from mining of black gold, that is oil. And so we have energy strategist, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, with us here this morning. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Welcome to the program. I would begin first with your general impression of how we have fared with oil production in the last 10 years.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daryl, and then good morning to you and good morning to your cherished viewers in Ghana and across the globe. Yes, I think the report is a welcoming one. You know, looking at the larger perspective of transparency as to where and how, you know, our oil revenue is being used. I think it's a welcoming one. You know, but what I would say is, I mean, after 10 years of oil production in commercial quantities, I was expecting that by now we should have been hitting, you know, about 500,000, you know, barrels per stream day mark. Right now, we are still struggling below 200. There are a couple of factors that are accountable for that, you know, and some of them is not our doing. COVID is one of them, and challenges in Tullow operations also came up as some of the factors, you know. But by and large, I think we've done creditably well. We should pat ourselves in the back. But of course, there's more room for improvement, and I think a report such as we're backing about 6.5 million. You know, $1 billion within a decade is a welcoming one, but I think it could be more than that. I can tell you that we could even get closer to 30 billion if we had done the right things. I mean, do the right kind of petroleum agreement and stuff like that. I think we could go beyond that. Yeah.
Okay, I want us to touch on the challenges, like you mentioned. If you could highlight a bit more what you see are the challenges that we have faced over the 10-year period and what we can do about those challenges.
Yeah, so over the 10 years period, what I noticed probably is possible the operational challenges and sometimes some projections that did not come, you know, to pass. Of course, in oil production, especially the upstream, we have a lot of uncertainties. Sometimes you do make your projections based on the data available to you, but when you come to reality in terms of, say, whatever you are expecting to extract in commercial quantity, you might not be able to get that. For instance, you know, the Jubilee Field, of course, what we're expecting, we are not getting that much in terms of quantums, how much we're expecting. Now, nevertheless, but if you look at clearly, technically, in Tullow front, if you look at over the last 10 years, they did so creditable well, but they did have a lot of challenges, you know. For instance, if you remember, somewhere 2019, they had this issue of the Tariq bearing that had phenomenal impact on their production. They had issue of court issue with Ivory Coast, you know, and also the COVID overall has been massive impact, negative impact. So of course, the aggregate of all these factors, you know, is making it very difficult for us as a whole, you know, to come up with something that could have sent us beyond the 200,000 barrels mark. But what I would say is that there are other things that we could have done something about. For instance, you know, our gas offtake. You know, some of them like operational challenges as to the effect that we have not been able to offtake the gas that we're supposed to have offtake. You know, most of these fields, I mean, they have associated gas, and if this gas we are not able to offtake, we are not able to maximize oil production. So in all this, I know the aggregate of all these factors, I think, is what is impacting the fact that we are not able to cross that 200,000 barrels. But I think a lot of efforts have been made. More discoveries are coming. More wells have been drilled, so we are hoping that we should be able to catapult ourselves beyond the 200. Now, but if you come to zero in with a report, let's say this PIAC report,
right?
I think that we could have done better. You know, Ghana, we are so much concentrated on royalty, you know, petroleum fiscal regime. You know, royalties are, I would say, is a kind of a lazy approach where, you know, you end up getting a bigger share in terms of your revenue or your accrued revenue or your return, your earnings from the oil. I mean, from your oil industry. What I'm saying that is the fact that if you look at this, what we have been able to do, and I can say that we have not done bad, Daryl. look at Terminal 3, look at gas, the Atuabo gas project. These are legacy projects. And even look at Free SHS. These are legacy projects. But what I'm saying is that with all these projects, you know what our shares are? There's no field that we have more than 25%. We have the first field, we have about 13%. Second field, we have about 15%. And then the last field, which is ENI, we have about 20%. With 5% each of royalties. Just imagine, and we are able to do all these projects. Just imagine that we had a share that is ranging around 45 to 50 or even beyond, and we are capable of that. We will have a huge amount of money, coming. And the only thing is for us to make the right appropriation of these funds, which is the next thing maybe I'll talk about with respect to PIAC. If the right appropriations are made and adhered to with respect to the dictate, so far as PIAC and the PRMA setup is concerned, I think we will move very, very far. And I can tell you that we have a robust framework, which is the PRMA. If you look at the PRMA, it's quite comprehensive. The only lacking aspect of it is implementation. If you're able to live to the latter of why the PRMA and good appropriations, and I think if you're able to do that and live by them, I think Ghana is going to be a better place in terms of our oil revenue.
All right. And when I saw $6.5 billion, I wasn't too sure whether to be excited about the figure I saw, because I don't know what the benchmark is in assessing whether we've made what we should be making out of the oil industry. Then again, you say it's impressive. I just want to talk about issues of transparency and accountability and what we're using the oil monies for. You mentioned Free SHS, because people would expect that making so much, it will translate in development.
Yeah, so if you look at, if you come back to the PRMA, the various segmental, where they are segmented, where the oil funds are channeled to, we have what we call the ABFA, which is typical for the budget allocation. We have some portion, that's about 40%, like 39 to 40% goes to that. And that's for our budgetary requirement. And about 30% goes to GMPC, which is also another important area. And about like 2021 to, stabilization fund, and, about 8% thereabout, that goes to what we call the heritage fund. All these are very critical areas that I can tell you. For instance, if you look at the heritage fund, that is a way we can have sovereign wealth. Remember, hydrocarbon products are finite, and at the end of the day, it might not live with us forever. So it is a way of showing up our reserves in a way that at any point in time we don't have hydrocarbon reserve with us. I think we'll have something to boast of. Stabilization fund, something like this. Of course, when oil prices are dropping in bearish moments, we can kick in stabilization fund. To cushion us, just to beef up the revenue. But I can tell you that if you look at the other two, especially the 30% that goes to GMPC, which is also very important, and then the first one, the ABFA, that's what I want to talk about. See, the ABFA, what I think is probably we have to concentrate on legacy projects. And I think PIAC and their team, they have been making it very clear. If you concentrate on legacy projects, and I think we haven't done bad, I just enumerated some of them that we can boast of. And we don't segregate the money piece-wise in almost every project that comes up, don't want to invest oil money on it. That is not the way to go. Let's concentrate on legacy projects. That when oil is not with us, we can look at Terminal 3, we can look at Atuabo gas project, we can look at Free SHS, and we can boast that, yes, this is the way to go. So the second recommendation I will mention is the fact that for continuity, I believe we can try to align, this ABFA to, let's say, a kind of developmental plan, national developmental plan, such that maybe if another party comes and they have the developmental agenda, they will have a manifesto, okay, but the manifesto should be fit into the ambit of the larger developmental agenda. Why I'm saying this is the fact that, see, every party will come and they'll have priority area. And that priority area may not be good. Like MPP like this, their interest is Free SHS. NDC, they did Terminal 3 and that. I'm not faulting any of that. All those are excellent projects. But what I'm saying is that if you have that is linked to our developmental agenda, I think it will end up bringing up what we call continuity. Now, the other aspect I'll touch is this stabilization fund. These funds, I think, this stabilization heritage fund, my suggestion is that I think we can ring fence it. My understanding is that about 15 years, after 15 years, we have the chance to go into it and dip our hands into it and take whatever is there. We cannot do that. These are legacy funds that will help us. If you can increase the years, maybe 30 years, even 40 years, 25 years, so that we ring fence it. Whoever party, NDC or MPP come in, and then back it with strong legal regime,
All
so
right.
that no party or no political party will have access, to be playing with funds like the licensing levy, fund or heritage fund or whatever. If you do that, I think it will inure to the benefit of the larger populace.
My final question to you this morning is what you think is the outlook for oil production in Ghana. I know it's not an easy prediction to make, but what do you foresee in future to be the outcome of this sector that we have been at for the last 10 years?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. Undoubtedly, we are faced with a myriad of challenges within the upstream, especially in recent times. And I think you know that. And the controversies are still ravaging around. If you look at, ENI unitization issue, if you look at ECA, GMPC deal, all these are not very good for the upstream. See, what we need is a stable atmosphere for the existing players to have the capability of optimizing their production. I'm not saying the unitization is a bad idea, but what I'm saying is, see, if you don't have ENI and Tullow at this moment exiting our shores, our upstream will collapse phenomenally. I'm just telling you that. Because GMPC, as of now, they are not in any position to be a standalone operator, and that's the reality. So that is why some of us have supported the idea of we increasing our shares, and that's actually the way to go, like I just mentioned earlier on. Let's look at the model. If you are exploiting new model, let's look at, instead of concentrating on royalties, let's look at production sharing agreement model. That one will increase our shares. It is not later in life that we want to try to increase our shares. So going forward, number one, let's give the existing players the smooth atmosphere to operate so that they can optimize their production. And I just mentioned one of them. Gas offtake is a bottleneck. Court issues for ENI, they are all bottlenecks. ExxonMobil has exited. We haven't been able to do anything about that. So these are not a very bright picture for the upstream. So what I'm going to say is that for the upstream, let's get our ass together and make sure that we give the existing players a smooth atmosphere to operate, and also make concerted effort to increase our shares, build our national player, GMPC, to catapult national player into a standalone operatorship. We don't have any second choice to do that in terms of building GMPC capacity to be a standalone operator. That we don't have choice. We just have to do that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, the energy strategist, with your thoughts this morning. Of course, there's plenty to talk about. GMPC's presence, moves to expand its presence in the oil industry, its moves to buy stakes in ACA and AGM. We'll talk about that later on, but thanks so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it as always. That's Talking Business this morning. My name is Daryl Kwao. Up next is our big interview for this morning. We'll be speaking with ex-Black Stars player Felix Abuaje. You don't want to miss that interview. Coming up next.